Okay, well, we'll do the news. So let's talk about a few things that are going on that I think will be of interest. It's actually kind of funny. The first story I'm going to read oddly reminds me of the fact that we're still talking about the moon, right? Because I remember lobbying when I was a dental student and participating in ASDA. Yes, proud member of ASDA, and was in the state like and national leadership, and we would go to lobby day every year to support our causes. And back then, of course, as dental students, one of our consistent themes was student loan forgiveness, student loan opportunities, because a lot of the repayment programs, a lot of our ability to write off interest, et cetera, was not very favorable for quote unquote high income earners, which was like over 100 or 150,000. Oddly enough, we're still debating this still today, 2025, which is almost 20 years since I was debating it in DC. We're still talking about student loan programs and making them more favorable for medical and dental students. There is a current bill up for consideration. It's been introduced in both the House and the Senate to look at a couple different angles of the student loan program. It is known as the Resident Education Deferred Interest Act. This is to help secure dental students and medical students as they pursue their educational pathway through residency, that they can defer the interest on those loans until they complete their programs. I think it would also help defer some of their payments on the student loan and minimize or eliminate the appreciation of interest during that time period as well. I know when I finished dental school and went into residency, I had deferred payment, but I certainly was accruing interest during that time. And the ADA president, Dr. Kessler, noted that the average student loan debt for dental students today is around $312,000 when they finish dental school. So those loan payments and accrual of loan could be quite significant. In fact, some are now hitting a top line interest rate of about 10.5%, which is substantially higher than what many of us saw. Maybe not Jeff. This isn't an old person joke, but I do know like there definitely were folks that graduated in late 80s and early 90s that were seeing interest rates somewhere around 14 to 15%. So we haven't quite hit that threshold yet. But 10.5 is definitely higher than certainly most of my colleagues saw. So this, if you have interest in it, want to go ahead and communicate your support for this particular act, the the Resident Education Deferral Interest Act, go ahead and reach out to your local or federal House and Senate representatives so that you can voice your support. Another interesting story, only because it's my state. Uh, you may not remember, but it's been about 10 years that North Carolina made national news when it went on a pretty strong campaign against DSOs and corporate ownership of dental practices here in the state of North Carolina. In fact, having lived here during that time and being a dentist, it was pretty contentious. You had huge organizations coming in running anti-dentist ads about how we were only interested in saving our own foot, and that we were doing it for money. We didn't really care about the patients. In trying to prevent private ownership outside of being a dentist here in North Carolina, we did manage to defeat it, but I think probably just slowed it down to some extent. Well, another act has resurfaced. This one's actually pretty bulky. This particular bill called SB 3, hold on, let me make sure I get it correct. Yes, SB 316 is actually a Healthcare Costs and Increasing Transparency Act. So it's not just dental. There's a lot of meat in this particular act, which I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time dissecting bits and pieces out so I can understand exactly what they're trying to accomplish with the act. But there definitely is a line in there that a dental practice being owned by a non-dentist would not be considered practicing illegally here in the state of North Carolina. So obviously, we'll be watching that incredibly close because that's something we've been fighting against for a really long time, trying to maintain private ownership here in the state of North Carolina. Don't know how that's going to come work itself out, but we'll keep you posted on that. And with that, that's the news. Oh, actually, one last story, more of a bit of a personal indulgence, if you will. It did make the news, but this week, North Carolina lost a dear colleague in a private plane crash. Dr. Mark Bowman out of Greenville, North Carolina, who had been in private practice there for many years and really well loved by his patients and his community, was flying to Florida with his wife for the weekend, I assume. And shortly after takeoff, had a pretty horrendous crash right outside of the airport there in Greenville. And North Carolina dentist lost a dear colleague and friend. And I don't think, we see lots of terrible stories about dentists doing all kinds of weird and crazy things, but it's pretty heartbreaking when you just see them trying to live their life, maybe escape the stress of practice a little bit and spend some time with their loved ones. And it just didn't quite work out the way they wanted. And I know for me personally, these are always times of reflection to make sure that I'm living to the fullest and appreciating those around me. And with that, that's the news.